straight from the X account of New York City Mayor Eric Adams. He says, over the past 2 years, our city has been managing an ongoing national humanitarian crisis. Well, quite clearly, it's international and humanitarian crisis. They just refuse. It's all about the language of these people. Providing shelter and care to approximately 183,000 new arrivals. He's posting this on March 15th, 2024, well after all of the horror stories, NYPD, Georgia. I mean, the list goes on. And he still wants to say new arrivals and humanitarian crisis. This is absolutely wild. Today, the city of New York came to an agreement with the Legal Aid Society, which gives us additional flexibility under the 1981 consent decree known as Callahan that addresses the right to shelter.
My fellow New Yorkers, today the city of New York came to an agreement with the Legal Aid Society.
The Legal Aid Society. Makes sense, I guess.
Which gives the city additional flexibility under the 1981 consent decree known as Callahan that addresses the city's...
And just really quickly, once again, it's so completely artificial. And I'm not suggesting that Mayor Eric Adams should go back to his nightlife outfit, but they hate the country so much. They hate New York. They're bleeding people dry, but then pretending it's all 183,000 new arrivals, which is, I'm sure, a drop in the bucket compared to what's actually showing up at the border. But then he wants to stand there in front of the American flag and just sit at your desk, bro, in front of a black wall. Like, this is so dark.
Right to shelter. Over the last 2 years, our city has been managing an ongoing humanitarian crisis, providing shelter.
What I just don't understand. So he says humanitarian crisis, and then he wants... Is everybody who lives in New York, who can literally walk through Midtown Manhattan and say, oh, this is a humanitarian crisis, that you're giving away free food and shelter to these people who came here illegally? Just because you say humanitarian crisis, does that mean the people can't literally see what's happening? I mean, the crime is through the roof. I did an entire episode about the named criminal migrants, and that was obviously the short list, right? I couldn't find all of them, and there's been more since then, but most of those were in New York, and he's talking about new arrivals, humanitarian crisis. The level of these people are absolutely maniacal.
Care to approximately 183,000 new arrivals, a number that is larger than the population of most cities. But
who told you that, Eric? Fine, I'm sure that's true, but it's like it's so obvious that he is not in charge here. Like, he looks like a puppet. I wish you can't put toothpaste back in the tube, but I mean, he in this freeze frame, he literally looks like a lizard person, a lizard person of color.
We have been clear since day one that the right to shelter was never intended to apply to large-scale migrant populations arriving without housing or...
Oh, you mean the right to shelter wasn't meant for illegals? Is that what you're saying?
Legal work status in such a short period of time. This new agreement acknowledges the realities of where we are today, affirms our shared mission to help those in need, and grants us additional flexibility to navigate this ongoing crisis.
What does that mean? Grants us additional flexibility to navigate this ongoing crisis? You mean you're going to get more money to throw at the illegals? Is that what it means?
I want to thank both the court and the Legal Aid Society for recognizing that the status quo cannot continue. It is a welcome step forward in addressing a crisis that has had far-reaching implications for our city, our people, and our values. New York City has done and will continue to do our part to manage this humanitarian...
What's the This is like Kamala word salad. Oh, we're going to be able to navigate the crisis due to this new agreement. Like, but what is the agreement? Can you give us even a tiny bit of it? You attach the pamphlet and you expect somebody to read through a 300-page PDF or whatever it is?
Crisis. But we cannot bear the brunt of this crisis along with just a handful of other cities. We will continue to seek significant support from our federal partners, including expedited work authorizations, more.
So we're going to ask the feds to make sure that these people can work illegally faster. This is crazy.
Funding.
More money.
And a national resettlement strategy.
So he's going to ask the feds for quicker job permits to give to these people, more funding, whatever, and a national he's not fixing the problem at all. He's quite literally just saying, we need more money to throw at these people, and we're going to settle them in cities outside of New York, because that works for us.
And we will continue to call on Congress to pass long overdue immigration reform.
Long overdue immigration reform. Okay, because of Congress, yeah. And then let's take a look here. Gonna see what the PDF looks like. Mayor Adams announces agreement with Legal Aid Society in Callahan. Okay, yeah. That's what he said. But what does this really tell us? New York City Mayor Eric Adams today announced the city has come to an agreement. What is the agreement? As the city has consistently argued, the right to shelter put into place over 40 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this agreement, are they going to tell us what the stipulation gives our administration the flexibility it needs? What is this? When the original Callahan settlement was reached, no one could have foreseen the migrant crisis. Okay. Today's stipulation relieves New York City of certain obligations under the Callahan Decree. During this declared state of emergency, it allows the city to manage the influx of new arrivals. This is wild. This is so dystopian, Orwellian, absolutely crazy. Okay, where was I? And provide adult migrants 30 days of shelter without the ability to reapply for shelter unless the individual has demonstrated they have some sort of extenuating circumstance necessitating a short additional amount of time in the shelter, or have received a reasonable accommodation due to a disability. To better support younger adult new arrivals, individuals under 23 years of age will be provided 60 days of shelter. Finally, the city will continue to provide reticketing services to help more people move out of shelter and continue their journeys towards self-sufficiency. Okay, so we're going to continue to provide plane tickets to the illegals to get them the hell out of here. I mean, this is absolutely crazy, but I guess you expect nothing less from Eric Adams. And then the Legal Aid Society here, the largest, most influential social justice law firm in New York City. The Legal Aid Society is built on one simple but powerful belief, that no person should be denied their right to equal justice. This doesn't mean anything. And then they have a write-up about the new agreement here as well. And you could read this and try to make sense out of all of it, but it really just boils down to, they're going to get a little bit more money, change the rules a tiny bit, and continue to press the migrants to get on planes to leave, even because they obviously shouldn't have been there in the first place. But I love how they have this photo here. Homeless migrant waits in line to get a ticket for bed for the night near Tompkins Square Park. These are the migrants, right? From all over the world. Gone are the days of a mini fridge-sized Mexican who wants to work in a kitchen or at a landscaping company. Now they're coming from everywhere, and get ready for the Haitians. And just for good measure, I'm sure we all remember the famous or now infamous tweet when Eric Adams said that New York City will remain a sanctuary city. But this perhaps a little bit lesser publicized or lesser known. Governor Kathy Hochul in December of 2021 was saying, you should come here.
We want people to come here, despite where they came from or despite the circumstances that drove them to this country and to this. And
at this point in time, I think she's still wearing her VAXXED necklace, right? We were still in hysteria, right? You got to put a mask on, you got to get the shot, but we're also going to leave the border wide open and encourage people to come here. I mean, how?
to this state, we say you are welcome here. We are welcome with open arms, and we'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you.
We'll work to keep you safe. We'll not only house you, but we'll protect you.